Hey guys, what's going on? So I wanted to make this quick little video to go ahead and make a point. I've seen a lot of rhetoric from a lot of politicians, Democrat of course. They're calling for assault weapon bans. An assault weapon is something that the government has that the American people doesn't have. Generally firearm dealers and people with special permits who can afford do have them, but the general population does not have fully automatic weapons. So, let's run over some few things real quick. This is an AR-15. This is a bipod. So I can steady up my shot when I'm out at the range. This is a forward grip to help with it. Adjustable slide. Right there is my red dot, my side sights. This, I'm looking for where it says it. Oh wait, it doesn't say assault weapon. It's a semi-automatic rifle. So what does semi-automatic mean? Well, semi-automatic means when I pull the trigger, one round will come out. That's it. Democrats keep saying that it's fully automatic. No American needs a fully automatic weapon. Semi. The same thing applies for pistols. This is a semi-automatic 40 caliber pistol. I pull the trigger one time, one round comes out. They love to present it as if we pull it one time, it keeps firing till it's empty, which is ridiculous. So, as they're making these statements that are completely false, you have to wonder. The Second Amendment of the United States Constitution states, the reason that our founding fathers made sure that this language was like that was to ensure that the people would have the means to overthrow the government. If you don't believe me, there are several quotes. Boom, 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 boom. You can look them up. Now, they had just fought a government who banned muskets, prior to the Revolutionary War. They did. They banned the colonists from having muskets. And our founding fathers said that can't fly. Our founding fathers were tired of the taxation without representation and various other things that the British government had done at the time. They were trying to get money back from the French and Indian War and various other wars that they had fought. Now, you look at it. What is the purpose of this? Why, as an American citizen, do I need an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle? Semi-automatic, not full auto like Democrats would like you to believe. Well, first off, it's my constitutional right. Second off, I want to. Third off, I'm going to. Now, you excuse me, I'm pretty hot out here in the garage. Our founding fathers ensured that the people would have the means to do it. So, all these Democrats who want to ban this, when the government does not trust its citizens with firearms, the government has evil plans. That's George Washington. This is a butchered quote, but I'll post a pic of it. This is the modern day musket. This is a means to ensure freedom. Because we can look throughout history. In Germany, when Hitler took power, he disarmed the people, telling them, oh, you don't need this, we'll keep you safe. And a couple million people later, dead, excuse me, let me put it this way, a few million dead later, or, a shitload of dead later after the government was the only one allowed to have firearms. The United States entered the war. And we helped defeat Hitler and the Nazis. Germany, nowadays, they understand what happened in their past. And, my grandfather was in World War II, and he was captured at the Battle of the Bulge. And he remained in a concentration camp for the remaining days. And I'm proud that my great-grandfather joined the military. I'm proud that he went over there to fight. I'm proud that my grandfather was in the military, my mother, my father, myself. I'm proud to be in a military family. I took an oath to the Constitution to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And the reason that the oath of enlistment is worded that way is that they understand, just as in Germany, that an enemy could come in the form of a domestic politician or so forth. I've been sitting out here trying not to word it to a point where I could be said, people could think I was saying something different than I was. But as a constitutionalist, I have to stand up for what's right. If we look at history, the Republican Party was actually founded to end slavery. That was its sole purpose and goal. And Abraham Lincoln was the first president for the Republican Party, the new founded one. And Lincoln, a lot of people don't realize this. Throughout history, everyone has been slaves to another person. And it didn't matter what race you were slave to somebody else at some point. Even in the United States during slavery, there were white slaves, there were Irish slaves, there were Indian slaves, there was Mexican slaves. So, people are so stuck on facts that they're learning in school. I recently came across an article where a father had posted a picture of the history book. And the Second Amendment was being rewritten in that history book to state that the military has the right to firearms. That's all it said. The right of the military to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, which is completely false. It bothers me because I do love the history of this nation. I love our founding fathers for their actions against tyranny. And I have to sit back and wonder what they would have done by now. They went to war over taxes. Their muskets were banned in Texas. And there's my dog. 1 second. My apologies. So, our founding fathers took a stand against tyranny. And nowadays in the United States, we're seeing more and more of it every day. The Second Amendment, they ensured we had the right to overthrow, or the right and the capability to overthrow the government if they became too powerful. And I'm not advocating doing that right now. I believe in peaceful resolution. I believe that our politicians should be removed from office if they are going to violate the Constitution, such as a number of Democrats trying to pass an assault weapons ban. And the pretext of the bill actually states the right to ensure that the Second Amendment is not unlimited. Well, the Second Amendment is unlimited. It's not limited to whatever you feel comfortable with as you surround yourself with multiple armed guards. You're not a king. You're an elected official. Colorado, I was really proud when they recalled politicians who tried to ban magazine capacity and limit that to, I think it was like 7. I was really proud to see that. That's how the system is supposed to work. And, the Second Amendment ensures that the rest of our amendments are secure. If the Second Amendment were to fall, next week, it is quite possible that soon after that you would see people arrested for their political alliance or disagreeing with politicians, essentially having the SS in the United States. And, Germans were brutal during the war. And a lot of people who I do know lost families to Germany, we'll put it this way. They were either killed instantly for being Jewish, or they were thrown into concentration camps. Scientific studies were on them. Blah. I'm not anti-government. I'm not anti the Fed or anything like that. And entirely, I think the possibility or the idea of it is really good. But I believe that our politicians and elected officials have violated their oaths multiple times, violated multiple laws, and that we should do a giant recall of every elected official in the United States at this point. But, as I'm sitting here watching the 2016 presidential nomination ceremonies, or excuse me, not nomination, presidential candidates ceremonies and various interviews on both sides, because I do like to get multiple sides of a story before I make an educated opinion regarding whatever the topic may be. And it used to be that criminals would go to jail, and now you have corrupt politicians up there on both sides. Jeb Bush, I'm sorry, dude, you're not going to be the president. You are literally just, nobody wants another Bush in office. But, I look at it and you can see, we'll put it this way, individuals such as Bernie Sanders, who claims to be outspoken, I am a socialist. America used to fight communism, not welcome it in. We used to stand up to it. We used to stop injustice around the world. And I will always be proud to be an American, but when human rights are violated and a politician accepts money from that country, such as the Middle East, where you can, legally own slaves, legally beat women, rape women and children, it's ridiculous, folks. I hear all these liberals say I'm for human rights, but you're supporting a candidate who accepts money from some of the greatest violators of human rights. America is a great country, but we have to take a stand. So go to the ballot box. That's the way to do it. You vote. You vote for the right candidate, somebody who isn't a socialist or a criminal or a dumbass. So you vote for what really brings in positive change. If a politician does not uphold their promises on a campaign, then and do a recall election, and that's a way to retain the integrity of any elected official's office. You pull out the bad and put in the good. There's I gotta find it. It's some sort of TV show with Jeff. What's his last name? I can't think of his last name at the moment. But he says, America is not great anymore. And every day you notice more and more things that are in line with what he said in this video. If I can find it, I'll cut it in here. But as Americans, we have to do what's right. So I urge you to take a stand. Sign petitions if you have to for a recall, or do various other things. But make real positive change for the country.